Newest edition here of Coach's Corner. As I mentioned before, this is a special edition of this series, and what we are doing is talking with local high school and college football coaches for spring practice, and we are pleased to be joined this week by the head football coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd, head coach Tony Gibson. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So how kind of walk us through, we talked before we started this, that it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, you're trying to settle down a little bit, but what have these couple of weeks and months been for you so far, trying to get fully geared with the Marshall?
Yeah, so it started back obviously in December and got here and we had to build a roster. So that consumed a lot of time. Probably the shortest Christmas break I ever had in the coaching profession, but thought our staff did a tremendous job of recruiting the right guys and guys that want to be at Marshall. And so it started there, and all the way up until school started, we were recruiting. And again, think we have the right kind of guys that want to be at Marshall, and that we have a staff that wants to be at Marshall, and that was very important to me in the hiring process and also the recruiting process.
Speaking on that, let's kind of talk a little bit about spring football practice. What have you kind of seen from this group throughout the course of the spring that going into the summertime, it's leaving you optimistic about what's to come?
Yeah, early on the defense was way ahead. The offense struggled for a few weeks, and that's probably more of our scheduling than anything else, because we had 4 practices, we broke for spring break, and then came back. So it was kind of tough for the timing, all those things. Now what I'm seeing is the offense is caught up, and it's good battles. Every day when we go out, it's offense, defense, somebody's making a good play, and our kids are working. That's what I like. They're understanding the scheme. They're starting to get confidence, and so that's something to build off of. And the challenge I have is, can we stack days? Yeah.
Is there a general theme that you're seeing with this group of guys? It could be personality, it could be the X's and O's, how they're executing on the field. What's this general theme or this general vibe that you're getting with this group?
Yeah, it's we have a great young staff too, guys that played not too long ago, and there's a lot of energy at practice every day. Maybe a little too much trash talking at times, but the guys are having fun, and they're just getting to know each other. When you bring 62 new guys into a program, it's like starting all over, and I think that our guys are doing a really good job of getting to know each other. They know their coaches obviously a lot better now. And you're starting to see some different personalities come out. And it all starts, in my opinion, with the quarterback position. And those guys have really, grabbed this thing and taken off with it. And Carlos Del Rio, Ja'Kai Long, Zion Turner, they're all different. But, again, they have the same goal. And you're starting to see them compete, lead, doing all those things. And it all starts with that position.
When you talk about bringing in such a big group and a lot of new guys as well, and also with a lot of new staff members as well, how do you go about developing relationships early on? Because that's a really big thing nowadays in college athletics, but we'll get to that in a second. But for you as a coach and your staff, how do you go about doing that? What's the philosophy behind building relationships with a bunch of new guys?
Well, the good thing that works out when the new staff comes in, obviously the families aren't here yet, so they're selling houses, everybody's trying to move, and we're always together. We stayed at the Delta Hotel downtown. We ate breakfast, lunch, dinner together for probably 2 months, and it gave us an opportunity to spend more time as a staff, and then also spend more time with our players, taking them to eat, getting around them, going to basketball games, just doing different activities with them, watching national championship game with them. Just doing a lot of activities and getting to know them outside of the building. And I think that means a lot.
When you talk about this new world of college athletics, I know this transfer portal has continued to pull hair out of a lot of different coaches, NIL as well, but when you're going through a process each year, is there a specific sales pitch that you try and have to readjust every year whenever you are trying to get new guys? I mean, I know you've been around the game for a while, but with this portal, it's just a completely different animal.
It is, and I think the biggest thing is you need to recruit needs, not wants. And that's what I've tried to tell our staff. This year was easy because we needed everything. Next year, hopefully, we just have to go hit certain spots and fill this position because we're losing seniors, whatever it may be. And we have to do a great job of keeping our guys here, not letting the turnover happen with so many guys we have to replace. And I think that brings continuity to your team, to your staff, all those things. Are we going to lose guys every year? Yeah, we are. Because it's easy for a kid to quit right now. It's easy for a guy to jump and go somewhere different. If, for whatever reason that may be, either he's not good enough here, he got beat out, and he doesn't want to stay and compete. And that's where the culture of our program needs to be integrated into these kids so they're not running from that. They want to stay here and be competitive and compete and win a job and play for Marshall. We're playing for the name on the front of our jersey, not the back.
You mentioned the C word, and I think is really vital nowadays in college athletics with being culture. Foundation could be another word thrown into the mix as well. But how are you starting to see the culture and the foundation that you're wanting to implement here at Marshall kind of build up and really come into fruition throughout the spring?
Yeah, I think that the kids, the buy-in right now and the way that they play with effort and the way that they're, again, starting to like each other and all those things. And I heard a great quote the other day after UConn won their 12th national championship. The head coach, Gino, said, our team liked each other about 3 months ago, and 2 months ago they started loving each other. And that's what it's all about. And obviously here we have a story like no other. And what we have to do is play for the past, play for this fan base, play for this city, play for this state, and pull all this together. And that's my goal. I want these guys to love each other and love this program and love this town and love this state.
Let's go back in time to whenever this job came about. You applied for it, you get the job. Your first head coaching job was going through your bio. Your first head coaching job since you were in Gilmore County, coaching over there in 1995. What stood out to you about this job, and what led you to throwing your name into the hat to possibly being a serious candidate for this job?
Yeah, I think any time that you look and you apply for a job is you want it to be the right job. And what I measure the right job on is the support. Number one, the administration, our president, they're all in with Marshall Athletics and Marshall football. And again, this town has rallied around this program for a long time, and this program wins. They got into the MAC, they won a MAC championship. They went Conference USA, won a Conference USA championship. Last year won the first Sun Belt championship, being in the league for 3 years. So winning culture, strong support at the top, and a fan base that cares, and in a town and a state where they care.
Let's kind of go back again to 1995. Looking at it now through the lens that you have, looking at yourself now to 1995, what advice would you give a young Tony Gibson who's just now starting off in his coaching career?
Yeah, I can't even tell you. I knew nothing at that point. I was fresh out of college, just got done playing, had no idea what I was doing, how I was doing it, and thought, I guess if I rewind back to 1995, I probably thought I knew what I was doing. But the one thing that, has never left me from that is we're going to work hard and we're going to be physical. And that's what I try to instill in 1995 that I'm still going to try to instill in our kids in 2025. That's never going to change.
So how are you different as a coach from whenever you were first a young, ambitious coach? Because I know you went from there to Glenville State as a defensive backs coach, then to Cumberland. But take me back. I mean, how are you different now compared to where you were back then?
Yeah, I think early on, again, when you're getting into profession, you're kind of selfish. You only care about you and trying to advance your career. And again, this is going to be my 31st year in coaching. And I've learned so much from so many good people and good coaches I've been around. And I've learned what to do and what not to do. And this thing is way bigger than Tony Gibson. This thing is way bigger than any one player or one coach. This is about us, and this is about Marshall. And so I think when you look back, so many young coaches just try to advance their career so fast and don't care about the big picture of things.
You mentioned the history side of things and just the tradition that this university and this program has. How often do you mention that to your guys, saying, this is a program that's been very successful, there's a lot of history, a lot of pride with this program as well? How much do you mention that whenever you are in discussions with players?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day I remind our guys, whether it's in a team meeting, whether it's one-on-one with the kid, whether it's after practice as I'm talking to the team before we break, there's something that I remind them about the past here. And I told them the other day, who you are is way more important than what you do. And don't think because you play football at Marshall that makes you able to go out and act different and all those things. I'm all about character of a man. What kind of guy are we getting, not only on the field but off the field? And I want those guys to represent this program, this university, the right way all the time.
Going back again, coaching mentors, it just seems like you mentioned how you've been able to learn from a lot of different people. Who were some other early people on in your coaching journey that really influenced you and taught you a lot of these philosophical things now that you're starting to implement with your guys now in 2025?
Yeah, it was crazy. Early in my career, I worked for, obviously, Rich Rodriguez, played for him, worked for him, offensive-minded coach, head coach. Obviously had a lot of success at Glenville, at West Virginia. Everywhere he's been, he's won. So got a lot of good stuff from him. Then I moved on to Herschel Moore. That when I went there, he was 72 years old as our head coach. Was a wing T guy, but just old school, gritty, tough, all those things. And then I went from there to Mike Springston at West Virginia Tech. That again was a man of faith and just so many other things outside of football that he taught me. Todd Graham, a coach with him at Pitt, a defensive-minded guy, is the first defensive head coach that I ever worked for. But again, just so many different things. And not saying that, there's good and bad with every head coach that you work for, and I'm sure I'm going to be the exact same way. I know that. And what I want to do, what I'm trying to do and instill in this coaching staff and this team is all the good. Being 30 years as an assistant coach, you learn a lot. And you think, well, if I ever get this job, I'll do this, but I won't do that. And, so you try to collect all the great things and then also have your staff involved.
You mentioned Rich Rod. Now that he's back at WVU, you're here now at Marshall. What do you think it means for the state having two West Virginia natives being able to coach the two Division I schools in the Mountain State? Yeah, I think it's awesome. Obviously, and this works out. I mean, he's from Northern West Virginia. I'm from Southern West Virginia. He's at WVU. I'm a Marshall. So I think it's awesome for the state of West Virginia. And you got guys that want to be here and want to be where they're at. They're not looking for the next job. Now, the only thing I have is I want to play them. I think that'd be great for our state, for our two universities, and keep the money in state. So I'm trying to make a big push at making that happen, but I'm only one voice, but I'm never going to stop. So you mentioned that. I mean, obviously, trying to get that back would be the first time in well over a decade that's happened. What's the sales pitch with it? I mean, I know you mentioned it's good for the state. That's the obvious. But outside of that, from a scheduling perspective, how would that benefit you all from that standpoint?
Well, it would benefit us from my first game as the head coach at Marshall. We got to go to Athens, Georgia. So that's and not taking anything away from West Virginia, Georgia. I'm not comparing that. But if we're going to play a Power 4 school, let's play our in-state Power 4 where it means something to everybody. And more people get involved, all those things. I get it. I was on the other side of this rivalry at WVU. Nobody wanted to play Marshall for a lot of different reasons, and the biggest reason was you didn't want to be the one that lost to Marshall. So that is, but the thing now is they say, well, you only hold 30-some thousand at your stadium, and Well, Ohio University only holds 25,000 at their stadium, and WVU's going there. So it doesn't make sense to me on how that can happen, but we can't play a game and again, keep the money here.
Let's talk post-spring now. And when you're looking at these next couple of weeks, next couple of months, I know we're still a ways away from the beginning of fall camp, but for you, what are some things that you put up on your whiteboard and says, this is what we need to execute, this is what we need to get done following spring practice?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing what we need to do as a coaching staff is tell these kids the truth, and that matters a lot. We have to make sure they understand, here's what you need to improve on in order to be able to play for us. And so we got to have some hard conversations over the next couple of weeks with our kids and tell them the truth, be real with them, whether we think they're good enough to play here or they're not. And then we have to start building our team for fall. And you know, with the house settlement and the rosters getting cut to 105, there are going to be some guys that can't survive and aren't going to be able to survive here. So, you know, we have to help them find a spot. And then as a staff, we have to go through and really, really evaluate what can we do, what do we do well, what have we done during spring that's we don't like, and get our schemes dialed in, make sure that we're fitting the personnel that we have here.
You mentioned something interesting there that I don't think a lot of coaches mention. Maybe they do and I'm just missing it, but the honesty side of things. As a coach, how important is that in today's world? I know that's a very vague question to ask, but I just don't think there's enough people mentioning the honesty side of things and being able to tell the truth whenever a lot of guys are in it for themselves. But for you, how does that go a long way from you guys and your staff, just again trying to build an identity with this program and trying to relate to your guys?
Yeah, and I think any kid they want to hear the truth. They're not always going to like what they hear, but if you're real with those guys, then they're going to respect you as their head football coach and their position coach and all those things. And that's the one thing I could say over the years. I was never afraid to tell a kid the truth and not what he wanted to hear. And the same thing with the parents, because the first person that they lean on is mom and dad, and they're always going to tell them how great they are. And we're just going to tell the kid the truth and be completely 100% transparent and upfront and honest with them. And I think they respect you more as a man when you can do that.
Recruiting-wise, I know there's a lot of guys on this roster. I know you mentioned one of them early on when Ja'Kai Long played at Hurricane as well, but recruiting-wise, in-state, what's your message to guys or coaches or players in the state that may want to play for Marshall, and you're actively trying to look at kids in-state? How do you go about recruiting in-state kids, especially in a state like West Virginia?
Yeah, I think that a lot of kids coming out of West Virginia, I know playing at a small high school at Van, West Virginia, there's a lot of guys that come out of the state that are underdeveloped, and for a lot of different reasons. The coaches don't get paid a lot of money, so they work when they need to work. Some guys, do it the right way, and some guys don't, just to be honest. The second thing is so many kids in this state, at least I know you go back at these smaller schools, they play all three sports. So they're focused in on football from August until November, and then it's basketball season, then baseball, and all that. I think the summer rules that they've just changed will help get these guys. But we are going to do our due diligence in this state, and if they're good enough for us to win the Sun Belt with, then we're going to recruit them. And if they're not, we're not going to recruit them just because they're from West Virginia. That's not going to help me save my job. But we're going to have 100%. We will be in every school in this state every year, and we're going to find the players and guys that want to be a part of this. And if they're good enough, we're going to recruit them.
How's recruiting changed for you as a coach? I know, again, we keep mentioning this portal and NIL and everything, but how has recruiting changed for you as a coach? I mean, what do you go after now with collegiate athletics changing, it seems like every day?
Yeah, I think that the one value that we're never going to come off of is we want guys to be in our program that love football. That don't like it, they better love it to be able to make it through what we're going to put them through. And then I want good character guys. I don't want guys that are, going to come here and come here for the wrong reasons and come here because they want money and all those things. I want guys here because they love football and they love Marshall, and they want to get coached because we're going to coach them hard. And my philosophy is this: we're going to coach you hard and love you harder. And that's the way we're going to do things here.
So I know we just went through a lot of different X's and O's, a lot of personnel, a lot of recruiting talk, but let's have a little fun here as we wrap up. But what we'll do is I'm going to ask you just a series of questions. We'll call it the lightning round, as you see in game shows. But I'll ask you just a couple of questions. You give me what comes to the top of your head, all right?
Okay.
All right. So first off, pepperoni roll. State delicacy with food. What do you go, stick or sliced pepperoni?
Slice.
Slice? Are you a hot cheese or like a normal cheese kind of guy?
Normal cheese. Don't like spice.
Tutors. What do you get at Tutors?
Thundering Herd.
That's the easy answer. When you talk about music, who's your favorite artist right now that you're listening to?
Jamie Johnson.
What genre?
Country.
Country? You big country guy?
Yes.
Who's your all-time favorite?
Hank Williams Jr.
So, Coach, if you weren't coaching now, what do you think you would be doing?
Barber.
Barber?
Cutting hair. Yeah.
You think you can help me out a little bit?
I can. I'll give you a nice fade. Be good to go.
Last one. You've been in a lot of different away arenas, different venues across the country. Best away environment?
Oregon.
Oregon. What separates them from others?
Noise.
Noise?
Crazy. Yep.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time as always. Good luck throughout the rest of spring football practice, and good luck during the offseason leading in the fall camp.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Special thanks to Grant Traylor, Sports Information Director here at Marshall University, for setting this up. A lot of help with him. Also, my two camera guys, Sean McAllister, Ethan Young. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Gaz Mail Sports. That's G-A-Z Mail Sports. Be sure to go on our website for this interview, along with all of our other Marshall University content, by going to our website, wvgazettemail.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook at HD Media Sports.